Hey there, beautiful people. Welcome to Baking for Dummies episode number 1. Today is a very special day because it is Valentine's Day. So I'm going to show you 3 different types of desserts that are super easy to make that you can make for that special someone in your life or your mom. So let's get started. Our first item today is going to be chocolate covered strawberries, and we're going to use these strawberries. They're nice and beautiful looking. Let's open them up. Ooh, pretty. And we're going to be using white chocolate and dark chocolate and milk chocolate. It's got all the chocolates right here. And then for our second dessert, we are making a heart-shaped chocolate chip cookie, a giant one, because love is huge. So we're going to be using this big heart shaped, and you can just find one of these at Walmart or Target or any baking supply company. And to make this video not as long, I bought cookie dough pre-made. And then I also am going to use homemade frosting for that. So I have my powdered sugar here on the back. And I have my butter. And then I also have these amazing Wilton bags and little pretty spouts. So we can make like a nice border. And there's my fish in the background. And then for our last dessert, we are going to make brownies from scratch. So I have some cocoa powder, semi-sweet chocolate, some vanilla, sugar, flour, eggs, mixing bowls, mixing spoons, lots of fun stuff. So some of the first things you're going to need for melting the chocolate is you're going to need obviously the 2 chocolates. So I'm doing white, and then we got this milk. Ooh, yummy. And then I also need a whisk, which I got right here, and then 2 bowls. Here's one, here's the other, and then here's the pan. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna grab the pan, nice saucepan, and you're gonna fill it up with water, and you want to fill it up to just about where you think the bowl will barely touch the water. So about right there is good. Got my water, and now I'm gonna test it. So let's see, let's put the bowl in. Oops, and not enough water, so we're gonna get just a tad bit more. Water, water, water. There we go. I think that's maybe too much, but it'll be good. Yep, a little too much, but that's okay. We'll work with it. So then what you're gonna do, and this is warm water, is you're gonna turn your burner on. And you want to put it on like a low to medium. So I got it on 4. And you're going to take the bowl out. And you're going to wait for your water to warm up a little bit. Now, most of the time I use warm water anyways. Or like lukewarm water. Just because it makes it go a little faster. And the next part can get kind of like, not tricky, but it's just, sometimes you'll need both hands. So we'll see how I do with one. As I'm waiting for my water to boil, I'm going to put some of the chocolate into the bowl. And this is about how much, I'm going to use the whole bag because I'm going to dip all my strawberries in that one. So you got a nice bowl full of chocolate. And this chocolate has been sitting out, but most of the time I store it in the fridge. Just so it doesn't melt, because I live in Arizona and you know, even though it's still winter outside, it might melt. So now we're going to do the same for the white, but I'm not going to use as much at first because white chocolate does take a little while to get going. Maybe more so than milk chocolate. So there we go. After stirring, it's getting more melty, which is great, but there's still a few clumps, so we're just going to let this sit a little longer. And then once this milk chocolate is completely melted, and there's no more little chocolate bubbles or bumps or anything in it, we're gonna do the white chocolate. Ooh, yummy. I think we're just about there. Perfect. Looks like the perfect consistency of melted. And now we're gonna take this out and switch to milk. Or switch the milk chocolate to the white chocolate. And this is our water. It's still on 4, so it's slightly boiling, but it's not getting too hot. Okay, now I just cleaned off my whisk a little bit, and we're gonna put the white chocolate on. So you can see, because there's not as much, you can possibly see the water in there. So we're just gonna let this sit for a little bit and wait for it to start melting. So it takes a little while when you do it this way, but since I'm doing so much at one time, like this is about half a bag of white chocolate and that's a whole bag of milk chocolate, it's just easier to do it in a bowl on a saucepan. There we go. It kind of looks like popcorn, but it's just melting away, and I'm stirring as I go. Just that way all the different little chocolate pieces get melted and get together, because the hottest part is obviously on the bottom of the bowl from the water below. Oh, it's just about melted. It's taking not as long as the milk chocolate, but if you don't wash it carefully, white chocolate does burn super easily. And there we go. It's nice and easy and pliable now to use and work with. I'm gonna put that off and then toss this whisk in the sink. And then we're gonna take this chocolate off and turn off our water, because we no longer need this boiling water anymore. So now we got 2 bowls, which we're gonna take over, and we're gonna start dipping our strawberries. So I've got a nice Pyrex big dish out, and I put parchment paper in it. So that way when I start dipping, I can actually put them on this parchment paper and they won't really stick to anything. So I'm gonna grab a strawberry, which I already pre-washed. Then I'm gonna dip it in and get chocolate all around on each side, like that. I'm gonna set it down. There you go, first strawberry is dipped. And then you're gonna just do that with the rest of them. And the reason why I did milk and dark chocolate is because I have family members who for some reason don't like milk chocolate, which is weird to me, but you know, I love them, so I'm gonna make them some white chocolate ones because they do eat white chocolate. Push the parchment paper down. Let's do a white chocolate one. Get it on all sides. And like that. Lay it down. Perfect. Now you're going to keep doing that with the rest of them until your whole paper is full. And then you can at that time either choose to switch papers or you can choose to stop. Well, I have a full tray now. So now I'm going to take a fork like this and I'm going to go over with white on my milk chocolate ones that I have. And it just gives it a little prettiness. You know, it kind of looks like a zebra. But we're just going to go like that and make it nice and pretty and fancy. So they're like, wait, you made these? They're so gorgeous. I'm like, thank you. You'll be super professional seeming. So now I'm going to get another fork and do the white chocolate with the milk. Now I finished my second tray, and there's the solo white chocolate ones for my family who doesn't like the chocolate. And then here's some more pretty ones. And I'm only going to do 2 trays because I'm going to save my leftover strawberries for the brownies that I'm going to make, not next, but after the giant heart cookie. So there they are. Now I'm going to set them aside so they can dry, and let's move on to the heart-shaped cookie. So here's my tray. It's nice and heart-shaped, and I just greased it with some spray. And now I'm going to take my cookie dough, I'm going to open it up, and I'm going to put some in there. About half, and then I'm going to see how much half fills the tray, because the cookie dough will also rise in this form, so it keeps its shape because it has these edges. After I took about half out, that's how much I got. So I'm going to add a little more to fill up this gap, and then I'm going to put this in the oven at 350, because that's what this lovely package says, for about 12 to 13 minutes. And then at 12 minutes, I'm going to check it, and if it needs more time, I'm going to give it some more time until it's about golden brown on top. Just about the whole entire roll. And now we're going to put our heart in the oven, and we'll see you back in 12 minutes. Now, I don't know if you can see, but our cookie is nice and golden brown. It's a nice color. So I'm going to take this out. And it's still in the heart shape. So I'm going to put this out of the oven. I'm going to let it cool while we wait for that. I'm going to get started on the frosting. For this frosting, we're going to do about a 1/4 cup of milk. And we're going to add that to our stick of butter. And then we're going to do about a 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla. Which I just have the teaspoon thing for, so have that out, and I'm going to do that. So as I add my about a 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla, like that. And then our very last thing out of our 4 ingredient frosting is going to be powdered sugar. Now I like to do this about a cup or so at a time, just so you can like slowly mix it in. And it's going to be 2 cups in total. So there's a 1/2 cup, and another 1/2 cup. And then I'm going to get my another 1/2 cup ready, because I'm using a mixing blade for this frosting, and I probably gonna have a hard time using the mixer and holding the camera and adding another cup of sugar, or a 1/2 cup of powdered sugar. So for your mixer, it's just any mixer will work, and I mean you could do this by hand, it's just a lot quicker to do this with a mixer. And it's best to use really, really soft butter, or even melted butter. Okay, now I'm going to add another cup of sugar, or 1/2 cup of sugar. So I just added another 1/2 cup. Now I'm starting to get like a thick kind of consistency. So I'm going to turn my mixer off and add my final 1/2 cup. So the final 1/2 cup is in. And then I'm going to continue mixing, and then the frosting will almost be ready. So once your frosting kind of looks like this, it looks like a frosting you would get out of a can, that's when you're going to want to add your color. Now, you don't always have to do a color, but I am going to, because it's Valentine's Day, I'm going to use a pink color to make my frosting pink. So I just added my food coloring, and it's looking really nice and really bright pink. So now that it's done and it's super bright pink, it's super Valentine's Day, we're gonna get frosting. So this is what our frosting looks like after we're done. And then now we're gonna roll back a frosting bag and we're gonna put the frosting into the bag. It's best to use a spatula for this part. And like you can use a Ziploc bag too and cut the tip off, and you would actually be surprised about how good it works if you don't have all the Wilton tabs and equipment. It's okay. So see, we got our nice bag. Now let's frost it. Okay, now that I got my frosting in the bag with a nice tip, I'm gonna frost this. So let's get started. And there we go, there's the final product. Add one right here. So all this, the tin, the cookie dough, the frosting, everything was just under $10, which is pretty cheap and a lot cheaper than most places you will go to find like a cookie kind of cake. So it's a really good substitute. Now, our third and final dessert that is also super easy to make. Now for the homemade brownies, we're going to use all that stuff and we're going to top it with strawberries and whipped cream to finish. And the recipe I'm using is just straight off the box of cocoa powder, but I'm actually going to add extra chocolate to it because why not? Chocolate's delicious. So let's get started. This recipe we need 3/4 butter, So we got 1 stick of butter in there already, plus another half. And then we need some sugar. Got some butter on my thumb from breaking that in half. Nice and clean. Now, the sugar. So we need about almost 2 cups of sugar. Just shy of about 2 cups. So for this one, we're also going to use the mixer and just the mixer and a spatula, because the mixer just really helps it blend easily. There's 1, and it's about 2 cups to be exact. It's 1 2/3. So now we got our sugar in, and also the recipes are all going to be below. Now we need to add our water. So about 2 tablespoons of water. There's 1. There's 2. Now we're gonna blend this together. So after you blend that all together, it's gonna look like that. And now you're gonna wanna add the rest of your ingredients. So next, we need to add our eggs, and we're just doing 2 eggs for this recipe. There's 1. There's 2. And then after we add our eggs, we need to add vanilla extract. So we need 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. So let's go. There's 1. There's 2. After this, we blend it all together once more. Now, after we blend that together, it's got a nice consistency. We get to add the flour, the cocoa powder, the baking powder, and a pinch of salt. So, pinch of salt. I'm going to do the flour first. And for this recipe, we need about 1 cup and 1/3 of flour. So since I use my big cup for the sugar, I'm going to use 1/3 cup, and I'm just going to do 4/4. 2, 3, and 4. Now cocoa. So this is what it's gonna look like. Got our flour on top of the rest of our batter. Now cocoa powder, we need about 3/4 of a cup of cocoa powder. So I'm going to use the 4th cup and do 3 of them. There's 1. There's 2. There's 3. So looks delicious. Looks like a mountain of cocoa powder. And then after we add our cocoa powder, we need to add our baking soda. Or not baking soda. Oh my goodness, baking powder. I have the baking powder out, but said soda. Oops. So this is baking powder. Don't use baking soda, that would not turn out good. And we need about 1/2 teaspoon. There we go. Now, once again, we're gonna blend this all together. And we're just about done with our homemade brownies. Careful when you're doing this too, because all the cocoa powder dust will get everywhere. You gotta go slow at first. And then shake it, because there's a bunch of cocoa powder on the sides of it. And then continue blending. And there we go, we got our batter. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna add more chocolate to this just to make it super chocolatey and super yummy and super delicious. But you don't have to. This is the regular recipe and it tastes really good just like this as well. So I'm gonna add some semi-sweet chocolate to it. And I just got the regular Baker's semi-sweet chocolate. And then since it comes in little bars like this, I'm just gonna break those in half. Because when it's baking, it's gonna melt. I'm gonna have a really good taste to it. But you can also cut them up and make it like more evenly spread out. It's whatever you want to do. It's Valentine's Day. Go super chocolatey, don't. All just what you prefer. And then once those are added, I'm gonna mix my batter up and then I'm gonna put it into a nice pan. And our batter is finished. Bam! I'm gonna grab my, so I got my spatula. Now I'm gonna put the brownie mix into the pan, which I have greased. And the oven is on 350. And these are gonna bake, I say about 24 to 30 minutes. It depends on the heater, depends on like your oven and how fast it cooks, or if it cooks slow, or if it doesn't heat up all around. And every so often you're going to want to check on them, especially as it gets closer to your timer going off, just because you don't want these to burn. And there we go. They're all spread out in the pan. Now into the oven these go. And let's double check the box to make sure. Yep, about 25 minutes is what we're going to put it on. There we go. See you in 25 minutes. That glorious sound means it's time to get the brownies out of the oven. And there they are. Now let's turn the stove off. Beautiful. While they're still hot, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a small cookie cutter. There's my hand. Small cookie cutter. And I'm gonna try to make as many hearts in the brownies as possible. Now I'm doing this so that when they cool, I'll have a bunch of little brownie hearts, and then I can use these and put like a dab of whipped cream on top and a strawberry, and make them super romantic for any Valentine's gathering. Super hot. Be super careful too. You don't want to burn yourself. And then after I get the whole thing cut, I'm gonna let it cool and then dress it up and make it look super pretty. Now I got all my hearts cut, now it's time to wait. I suggest, if you're gonna make anything else like for dinner or whatnot, you start with the brownies first and let them cool as you're cooking everything else, because it's good to eat hot brownies, but when you're cutting them in little hearts, it's going to be really difficult to get them out of there if, one, you didn't grease your pan, and two, you try to go in there right away. So now that all the 3 desserts are done, here's the first one, our strawberries. Then here's the second one, the giant cookie cake. And the great part about all these is they're super cheap and not as expensive as normal. And then here are brownies. They're the hearts. And you see I've just taken one of these brownies and I put it on a plate, and then I've added some whipped cream and a strawberry. And the way you do the strawberry is you just hold the green part, and then you cut down with a knife really, really carefully. So it's just really cute and heart-shaped for Valentine's Day. So if you'd like to make these desserts at home, you can simply by going down in the description, and all the recipes are down there. And happy Valentine's Day from me to you.